Good evening. I'm Valerie Jarrett, and I am so excited to welcome you to the Innocence Project's 2021 virtual gala, an evening of freedom and justice. Tonight, we celebrate the Innocence Project, an organization that works tirelessly to free and exonerate innocent people and to create a truly fair and equitable system of justice for everyone. I joined the Innocence Project's board of directors after serving as the senior advisor to the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. When I worked in the White House, criminal justice reform was one of the president's top priorities and one of my mandates. I took a holistic approach to the issue, recognizing that meaningful reform requires intervention at every stage of the criminal justice process, from keeping people out of the justice system in the first place through ensuring the timely release and exoneration of those who are wrongfully convicted. Today, we are at a unique moment in our nation's history. We've had a year like no other, including a worldwide pandemic, a racial justice reckoning, and deep economic and political challenges. But thanks to your support, the Innocence Project has had a record number of exonerations and legislative victories. In a world of problems, the Innocence Project offers solutions. Tonight, we'll hear from Christina Swarns, the Innocence Project's new executive director, from our co-founders whose incredible vision almost 30 years ago laid the foundation for the work that's been done since, from our champions who volunteer their time, and from 15 freed and exonerated people who, of course, are the heart of what we do. We'll honor an extraordinary pro bono leader and recognize a young woman whose courage and composure helped ignite a worldwide civil rights movement. All will underscore some powerful themes that drive everything Innocence Project does: justice, fairness, accountability, and transparency. Now, I'm delighted to add under the leadership of the exceptional Christina Swarns. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope this evening inspires you to continue your important support for everything that we do.
Good evening. My name is Christina Swarns, and I am incredibly proud to be the executive director of the Innocence Project. I graduated from law school the year after the Innocence Project was founded. At that time, the claim that innocent people were routinely arrested, convicted, and sentenced to prison was nothing short of radical. But because Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld recognized the fallacy of that orthodoxy, the Innocence Project leaned into science, litigation, and policy reform. It freed and exonerated more than 200 wrongfully convicted innocent people. It exposed the unreliability of bedrock criminal justice policies and practices, and it created new laws, norms, customs, and expectations. Ultimately, the Innocence Project changed the landscape of the American criminal legal system forever. I am incredibly fortunate to have relied on and benefited from the Innocence Project's expertise throughout my career, and to have had a front row seat from which to witness and experience this extraordinary transformation. And today, I'm honored to lead this organization at a pivotal moment in our nation's history, when our criminal legal system is undergoing a vitally important process of re-examination and reform, including reckoning with the ongoing legacy of racism. This conversation is long overdue, and its urgency is fueled by the murder of George Floyd, the killings of Black and brown people across the country, and the wave of nationwide protests. We now have the opportunity to drive deep and meaningful change, and the Innocence Project is ready to lead the way, relying on science, the lessons learned from the exoneration cases, and a history of speaking truth to power in service of justice. Thank you so much for recognizing the importance of our work and our voice, and for helping us to do what we do best. We are incredibly grateful to this evening's Freedom and Justice sponsors, AIG, John and Renee Grisham, and David and Margot Lowy, for their generous leadership gift for tonight's event. And to our visionary sponsors, the Blavatnik Family Foundation, the Margaret and Daniel Loeb Foundation, and Wachtel, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz. We are also blown away by the support we have received from the tens of thousands of individual donors who have partnered with the Innocence Project. Since 2019, we've added more than 150,000 new individual donors. Over the last year, traffic to our website has jumped to record numbers, with 1 million visitors in a single month alone. And more than 700,000 individuals answered our call to help and signed a petition when we were working to stop the execution of one of our clients. Thank you for helping to drive our success and literally change lives. Tonight, you'll hear from 15 people who were wrongfully convicted and spent a combined 369 years in prison for crimes they did not commit. We are thrilled to see them home with their families where they belong. Their stories compel us to redouble our efforts to identify and address the causes of wrongful conviction. Our 2 honorees tonight are part of that solution. Lucy Fato is a brilliant and successful corporate attorney who dedicates countless personal time and organizational resources to criminal and social justice work. And she's working to expand corporate pro bono efforts nationwide. And Darnella Frazier is the extraordinary teenager who videotaped the murder of George Floyd and launched a worldwide movement to curb police brutality and recognize the long-standing problem of racism in policing. Thank you for being part of this necessary and historic journey. And thank you for helping the Innocence Project lead the way.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jason Flom, longtime quarter-century board member of the Innocence Project and co-chair of tonight's event. First of all, you all look marvelous, and I'm so glad you're here because tonight we celebrate, we honor, and we continue the work of the Innocence Project, the organization that I love. The Innocence Project is so important, arguably now more so than ever, not just because of the individuals who we've freed and who we will continue to free, but also because of the policy changes and the legislative changes that the Innocence Project has driven and continues to drive. Even in recent weeks, we've seen seismic changes in states around the country, and we are going to continue that work with your help. Of course, the heart and soul of the work of the Innocence Project are the wrongfully convicted people themselves, the ones who remain behind bars that we're fighting for and that we're going to fight for until they're home, and the ones who are here with us tonight. And it's a real honor for me to be able to introduce 3 of the newest exonerees, Tremaine Hicks, Paul Hildwin, and Felipe Rodriguez. Welcome home, guys. We're so glad you're here.
There is no diamond, there is no gold that can amount to the gift of freedom.
When I first arrived on Florida's death row, I was numb. I did not believe that that was happening to me.
You want to scream, you want to tell them you're lying. Well, why are you lying? Why are you doing this to me?
I had promised myself that I was gonna give myself the best possible shot to right this wrong, to prove my innocence.
I was ready to die in prison. And then on March 6, 2007, I received a letter from the Innocence Project. It was the best letter I ever read.
When I knew that they had taken over my case, then I saw a light at the end of the tunnel.
First thing she said, well, you know how every time I call up here, I have some good news and not so good news? She said, well, I got nothing but good news today. You're going home.
Walking through those gates, they couldn't open fast enough. I wanted to rip them.
After 35 years of walking on nothing but concrete, I wanted to walk on grass. And I took off my shoes and I walked barefoot on the grass. And it felt so good.
I feel like a bird out of the cage. Like I had just stepped into another side of the world. The air that I was breathing was different.
I can go see my grandson whenever I want to, and able to walk to the backyard with a cup of coffee in my hand, sipping and listening to the birds chippering away, man, while I'm watching the sun rise.
All the people that support the Innocence Project, God bless you. You might not know how much those donations mean, but they mean life to people.
I think that God's church is the Innocence Project. They have tended to our wounds, mended broken families. For me, the Innocence Project is the greatest institution that will ever exist. What else can I say?
Okay, so this is the part of the program where we've already opened your heart. Now we want you to open your wallet. And I'm going to go first. I'm going to make an additional pledge of $25,000. I've been donating to the Innocence Project for a long, long time, and I've never written a check that I regretted. And we can't do it without you. These cases, as you know, are very expensive and time-consuming. Your support is what makes it happen. The money goes right to the bottom line and helps bring innocent people home. And of course, it helps to prevent other innocent people from ever having to go through this awful fate. Here's how you do it. Just go to the bottom of your screen there. There's a little form. Fill out the form. Put the highest number you can think of. Give till it hurts. Okay, I'll wait. Yep, just do it now. You know, carpe diem. I know a bunch of you bought Bitcoin. Some of you even made some NFTs, and you got that NFT money laying around. We want it, we need it. You need the deduction, we need the money. This is actually a perfect circle. So, give till it hurts. We appreciate you. And now, the moment I've been waiting for, the person I've been waiting for, it is my distinct honor to introduce tonight's first honoree, my dear friend, Lucy Fato. Lucy is a certified badass, and she is someone who gives of herself in ways that inspire so many. When she sees something wrong, someone wronged, she will stop at nothing to fix that. And Lucy, I'm going to introduce you now. We're going to present you with the Innocence Project Freedom and Justice Award. But before we do, I would like to respectfully request that you allow us to go forward with a cloning procedure because we need more of you in this world. And now, Lucy Fato.
I want to thank the Innocence Project and Jason for this recognition. It is truly humbling to be honored by this distinguished organization that has done incredible work for so many people and for our criminal justice system. At AIG, I am very fortunate to oversee a pro bono program with hundreds of colleagues who have donated thousands of hours to pro bono services. And we are delighted to now be part of this network with the Innocence Project. And on behalf of AIG's pro bono program and myself, thank you for this extraordinary recognition. I'm here with Tremaine Hicks. Tremaine was exonerated a little over 100 days ago after serving 19 years in prison for a crime he did not commit.
I was shot in my back trying to help someone, and the police lied. It was essentially my word versus about 20 of Philadelphia finest. Each day of my trial, I started to understand the gravity of the situation. I was taking notes. I was paying attention to my trial attorneys, just in case that I was going to get convicted. I appealed to the PA Supreme Court. Those judges denied me. So I appealed to the federal court. I had no aid of any type of attorney, but I had truth on my side. I didn't give up. I did not let them beat me physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally.
I'm trying to sit here calmly, but my blood is boiling right now listening to what you say. And when I think of the number of people throughout the criminal justice system that turned you down, for me as a lawyer, that is very discouraging. And I think this is where the Innocence Project is really trying to make a difference.
I received a letter from the New York Innocence Project that they was taking my case on and that they will be representing me pro bono. That was a message in a bottle.
I do give the Innocence Project kudos for what they did and achieving what I call simple justice for you. But I give you credit first and foremost, Tremaine. You, your faith, the strength of your soul and your spirit. What do you attribute that to?
Faith in God. When I woke up in that hospital and I was alive, I wasn't paralyzed, I was happy. I had to learn how to walk. I went from a wheelchair, went to a walker, I went to a cane. I went to running multiple marathons when I was locked up. And it's just that joy of waking up each and every morning, one day at a time. Yeah, it was difficult. I lost a lot of loved ones and friends when I was incarcerated. My son grew up without me. He's married with a 3-year-old son now. I miss so much. But my joy comes from the fact that I survived. And today, and not only am I alive, I'm free. So I am overwhelmed with joy each and every day for the past 123 days. So Lucy, why did you get involved in pro bono work, and how long have you actually been doing?
So I've been a lawyer for over 30 years now, and I joined AIG a little over 3 years ago. When I got to AIG and I saw all the pro bono work we did, it started to revive that fire in me, what really drove me to become a lawyer to begin with, which was this view that there needed to be justice in this country. We have a constitution. It applies to everyone. You are innocent until proven guilty. You shouldn't be stopped because of the color of your skin. It took me a long time to get back to my roots, but now's the time.
Pro bono work is the backbone of the criminal justice system in this country. When you got guys that are incarcerated, the money is gone. The people who do this pro bono work are true superheroes, man. And they are lifelines to men and women who are wrongly convicted.
There's a call to action coming out of what you just said. People who have the means should really make contributions to organizations like the Innocence Project, because they are the people who spend the time to find the right investigator, find the right lawyers, do the filings, do the research. But that all takes money. So I'm just going to make a plug here for anyone out there who's looking for a way to make a real difference in people's lives. This is a very worthy cause in this country.
There's nothing I can say behind that. The pro bono community is sure is a lot better for having you a part of it. That's for sure. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Miller. I was exonerated in 2007 with the help of the Innocence Project. I served 26 years for a crime I didn't commit. And in my case, DNA evidence proved my innocence. And that same DNA evidence identified the true perpetrator. The Innocence Project has created the model. It represents innocent people, focuses on a broken justice system, and sets out to fix it. After listening to Lucy and Tremaine, I am encouraged that private companies and lawyers are getting involved in social justice and criminal justice reform. Tonight, you are hearing from innocent people that the Innocence Project has worked hard to bring freedom back into their lives. Each of our stories are personal and unique and full of hardship, and we're faced with hard work going forward in our lives. Tonight, we see that there are so many good people, each of you supporting the Innocence Project, and we thank you very much for that. Since we gathered last, we are happy to welcome home Earl Henry and Ron Jacobson. Welcome home.
I was arrested on January 12th, 1990. I just never gave up, You got to live with hope of one day, proving your innocence.
I remember it so vivid, like it was just yesterday. I was kidnapped for a crime I didn't commit. When they shipped me up to Angola, scared to death. I was scared to death. But when I went there, my mind already said, I know I'm an innocent man, so I got to find out what I need to do to try to get the Innocence Project.
The Innocence Project, it's like going up the mine shaft, going up the tunnel, you can see the light. I was freed on November 2nd. I arrived back in New York November 3rd, first time in 30 years.
I was free May 7th, 2020. The day after my son's birthday. They say, so is that a good birthday present? He said, yes, it's the best birthday present ever. Man, when I walked out that gate, meant a lot.
You're in prison, it was 2,000 inmates. Well, you're still alone. You're surrounded by all these people, but you're alone because nobody cares about you. When you come out and you see literally thousands of people donating money, time, effort. If it wasn't for them people, I wouldn't be sitting here. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Dubin. I am the Innocence Ambassador to the Innocence Project in New York. Anyone that's ever heard me talk about the Innocence Project has probably heard me say that there's literally no greater feeling maybe outside of the birth of my children or the marriage to my wife, that tops walking someone out of prison for a crime they did not commit. It's the best evidence to me that we are put here to restore each other. And that is indeed what you are doing if you are a part of the Innocence Project. You are restoring hope. You are breathing life into the notion that justice delayed is indeed still justice. And you are taking part in a profound movement to change our criminal legal system for the better. So please, if you can make a contribution, it matters. It helps us continue our transformative work to continue to restore so many people that have been wrongfully accused of crimes they did not commit. So I'm excited to share some really terrific news we just got. The AIG Pro Bono program has told us that they are joining the Max Challenge in honor of Tremaine Hicks. That means for the next $50,000 donated, AIG is going to match that with a $50,000 additional gift. So please click on the box below and you can double your support for the incredible work that we're doing here at the Innocence Project. And anybody that knows Jason and I knows that we like to sort of compete in philanthropy. So on behalf of myself and my wife, Jillian, we're gonna one-up him. He donated $25,000, we're gonna go for $30,000. Please help us by clicking the box below. I'd now like to introduce three heroes of mine, our next three exonerees. Please join me in welcoming home Robert Dubois, Belinda Goff, and Rosa Jimenez. Welcome home.
I've thought a lot over the word freedom. Until that freedom is taken from you, you do not grasp how essentially critical it is to a human being to be free.
When I went to prison, I was only 20 years old. My daughter was 1 year old and I was pregnant on my son.
When I was 18 years old, I walked into a world I had never known before, a world of prison, death row.
I had 3 children at home and it almost drove me insane. But when I knew that the Innocence Project had taken on my case, I felt like finally somebody's in my corner.
It made me feel just as happy as I would if I was in the middle of the ocean with no life raft or anything, and then a boat showed up. It's just a lifeline.
A miracle happened. Regardless of what the people say, that I have 99 years sentence, that I was gonna die in that place. Thanks to the Innocence Project, thanks to all the people that believe in me, I'm here right now.
I cannot explain what a dreamlike state that was, to be able to walk out the door and meet my children finally and be able to hold them and touch them without censorship, without bars.
My daughter got married 2 days after I got home, and I remember praying to God and telling God, please let me make it to her wedding. Everything feels like a dream, and nobody is gonna able to repay those years. But what I want is to have new memories with my kids.
When I say free, I don't mean just free from incarceration. It's free to be a mother, free to be a grandmother, free to be a sister, free to be a daughter. I will continue to grow and I will continue to try to bond and learn. So my future, I feel, is just blessed because the possibilities are endless.
Here to present our next honoree, Darnella Frazier, is someone who really doesn't need too much introduction the world over. Not only is she a 15-time Grammy winner, but she has really been a source of light and hope and a real advocate for changing the criminal legal system. Here is Alicia Keys.
I'm so honored and inspired to be here tonight to celebrate the Innocence Project and its critical work that it does in reforming our broken justice system. We all know how difficult this past year has been on so many levels. When it came to injustice, we were forced to see the issues around us with clearer eyes, the tremendous wrongdoings, the seemingly endless police brutality. We were forced to connect and conversate like we'd never before. And through these conversations, we had hope. Hope that maybe this hate won't continue to be perpetuated like this. But sometimes hope alone isn't enough. So we put our faith into each other and organizations like the Innocence Project and the powerful people who are willing to take action when called on. I often think about the power of the human spirit, and I guess we don't even know how much we can actually handle until it's thrust on us. One of those special people who really embody the strength of the human spirit. Our honoree, Darnella Frazier. What Darnella did in a moment of instinct, taking action and documenting a tragic and obvious wrong, moved the entire world to action. I can't help but think that if someone were courageously videotaping all the arrests of all exonerees, they wouldn't have been wrongfully incarcerated. George Floyd's murder exactly a year ago added a new level of mistrust and outrage to a system already stacked against people of color, especially when it comes to the criminal justice system and law enforcement abuse. But it was the spontaneous action of Darnella Frazier that brought a new meaning to the words transparency and accountability. Darnella's bravery ignited one of the greatest social movements in our nation's history, and her courage brought awareness and action for racial justice to millions across the globe. Darnella, you define what we hope for as a people: activism and a sense of right, and a simple desire for justice. In a moment of shock and fear, you tried to right a horrible wrong by doing the only thing you could: documenting it. So for your bravery and courage and profound sense of justice, I'm honored to present you the Freedom and Justice Award to Darnella Frazier. We love you.
Thank you for honoring me with this award of freedom and justice. To be included in a group of people who spend their lives fighting for others is amazing, and it's humbling. Thank you to the Innocence Project for all the work that you do and all the families that you touched. And shout out and thank you to Alicia Keys for using your voice to help with this movement.
Good evening. I am Marvin Anderson. I'm proud to be here as the Exoneree, the Innocence Project board member, and as the chair of the Exoneree Advisory Council. My relationship with this incredible organization goes back decades. I was wrongfully convicted 40 years ago, exonerated with the help of the Innocence Project 20 years ago, joined the board 10 years ago, and about 4 years ago helped found the Exoneree Advisory Council to support exonerated individuals however we can. As we heard from Alicia Keys and Darnella Frazier, and as so many of us all know too well, our criminal justice system is broken. But with the courage and the quick thinking of the young people like Darnella, the increased attention being drawn to the wrong all around us by people like Alicia and the hard work of the people at the Innocence Project, we are making progress day by day. Innocence Project is fighting every day to help the wrongfully convicted and to systematically fix this broken criminal justice system. We are grateful to everyone who supports our work. None of this is possible without you. Thank you. And let's stay focused on our goal. Since we gathered last, we are thrilled to welcome home Jason Kendrick and Garrett Thomas. Welcome home.
I was picked up by the police Thanksgiving weekend, 1994. Once you go in there, you're in another world. It's like time stops. You have no idea how you feel when you're in jail and you're innocent, and what it takes to keep trying to move forward to prove you're innocent.
Have you ever picked up something real heavy and you can't hold it? Ooh, that's what it felt like. I seen an article in the paper, Barry Shack, that's the Innocence Project. So I sent them a highlight of my case, and they was telling me that they believed me in my case. And I feel like a big old giant building coming off your back.
When the Innocence Project took my case, it meant that God had answered my prayer. And I was released 11/19/2020, the week before Thanksgiving. I used to hear people talk about when they got released and what they did and how the air felt. And when I walked at that corner and I raised my hand, oh man, I couldn't believe it. I dreamt about this for years, but I never thought it would happen. And when it happened, I just couldn't believe it.
It felt like I was halfway up in the sky somewhere. To have somebody there for you, it's a blessing.
Every day is good. A lot of love in my heart. It's always been there.
Good evening. I'm Barry Scheck, and together with Peter Neufeld, we founded the Innocence Project almost 30 years ago with a simple but very ambitious mission: exonerate the wrongly convicted and use what we've learned from the wrongful convictions to reform the criminal legal system and prevent future injustices from happening in the first place. We realized that the scientifically sound transfer of DNA technology to the forensic arena would not only identify the guilty, but exonerate the innocent. We have never been more optimistic or excited by this work. The results are reflected in individual cases won, significant policy reforms across the nation, and encouraging trends that tell us the Innocence Project is making an impact. I want to start by highlighting one case: Rosa Jimenez in Austin, Texas. Rosa was convicted of murder and imprisoned for 17 years on the theory that she stuffed a wad of paper towels down the throat of a neighbor's toddler in her care. In fact, the child had been slowly swallowing pieces of paper towels and accidentally choked on them. Rosa was undocumented and had an ineffective lawyer. The Innocence Project was able to get testimony from 5 of the leading pediatric airway experts in the world and persuade the new Conviction Integrity Unit in Austin and a state judge that Rosa was actually innocent.
On January 8th, 2021, Eddie Lee Howard was exonerated after spending the last 26 years on death row, wrongfully convicted for a 1992 murder. He was framed by a disgraced dentist who made up the bite mark evidence suggesting a match between an abrasion on the deceased with Mr. Howard's dentition. Bite mark matches are a junk science. We've now had 28 exonerations of men originally convicted based on so-called bite marks. The race of the victim profoundly influences the likelihood a defendant is charged with a capital crime and the likelihood that he is ultimately sentenced to death. Mr. Howard is black. The victim was white. Parchment Prison, where Eddie Lee languished for 26 years, had been a slave plantation before the Civil War. Eddie Lee was finally reunited with his mother the day he walked off of death row.
Aside from the individual cases, it's important to highlight some of the policy wins that we know will have far greater impact on preventing wrongful convictions in the years to come. Take Maryland, for example. Just over the past year, Maryland passed a law to prevent wrongful convictions involving unreliable jailhouse informants. It enacted the Walter Lomax Act that improves compensation to those who are wrongfully convicted and incarcerated. It enacted Anton's Law, which makes most police disciplinary records public.
And in Virginia, the state now mandates video recording of police interrogations of suspects. The state made it easier for the innocent to get back into court, even if they had pled guilty, and even if the new evidence is not DNA. And perhaps most significantly, Virginia became the first state of the Confederacy to abolish the death penalty. Both houses of the legislature and the governor kept bringing up the case of Innocence Project exoneree Earl Washington, who had come within 9 days of execution.
One positive trend I'd like to highlight is the expansion of conviction integrity units within district attorneys' offices. This is something that the Innocence Project helped pioneer in 2007 in the Dallas District Attorney's Office. There are now 74 conviction integrity units in the United States, and they were responsible in 2020 for 63 exonerations.
When we started the Innocence Project, much of what passed for evidence was neither accurate nor reliable, and our focus was to bring empiricism and science to criminal legal systems. But if we are to achieve more meaningful justice, particularly in light of all the new emerging technologies and tools that are being utilized in policing, it is not enough to ask, can we do this? We must also ask, should we do this? Before we start relying on algorithms and artificial intelligence for risk assessments to set bail, sentences, and parole, the ethical, legal, social, and racial justice implications will have to be assessed. All that Barry and I just described demonstrates the Innocence Project never gets old. It never gets stale, and we never get tired. Now, we're thrilled to welcome home Eddie Lee Howard, Chris Tapp, Rafael Ruiz, Stanley Mosey, and Dennis Allen. Welcome home.
In prison, you're not living, you're just existing. It robs you of your integrity, your dignity, your hope.
I couldn't believe that people just seemed like it was okay for me to be thrown away, like I was worth nothing.
I asked God Almighty to please continue to make me feel too blessed to be depressed and too anointed to be disappointed. That's what my daily prayer.
I realized for myself, I still got to go on for myself, keep on living, keep on finding a way how to get out of this prison. And that's when I decided to write to the Innocence Project.
When they finally accepted my case, I just said, oh, thank God, I thank God that somebody heard my humble cry.
Freedom to me means living life with a purpose.
To not have that stigma, not to have that little asterisk by my name, that everybody knew in the world that I was innocent.
On the first day of my release, I was able to visit my mother. She's 92 and a half. She was speechless, man, and she was crying.
I was exonerated in March 2020, and I got my life back. I had so many good people from the Innocence Project. They took time out to really help a person like me out, and I appreciate them so much.
The support of the Innocence Project means absolutely everything to me. And I really need their support continuously because all this new technology is, woo.
When you're incarcerated, you don't feel like you have a voice. No one wants to listen to you. And I want to be able to have that voice and be the advocate for somebody else that's been wrongfully convicted. And the Innocence Project trusts me enough to give me these opportunities to help somebody else. And that means the world to me, that they see something in me that I don't see in myself.
There is not any other institution or entity in this world that is doing the things to help people who are wrongfully convicted to regain their lives, to regain their dignity and their integrity.
So many people have given. Excuse me. I'm eternally grateful to those peoples, each and every one.
Wow. The stories that our freed and exonerated clients shared tonight were incredible. And Lucy Fato and Darnella Frazier truly exemplify the deep commitment it will take to end wrongful conviction in this country and create a truly fair and equitable criminal legal system. Thanks to all of you who have generously responded to AIG, Josh, and Jason's challenge match tonight. It's not too late to join the effort and have your gift doubled. Please make a gift in the box below. Thank you. At the Innocence Project, we recognize that we are at a moment in history that offers a rare opportunity to achieve meaningful reform. We know that tinkering around the edges will no longer cut it. We are ready to move an ambitious agenda to see an end to wrongful conviction. To that end, I have to acknowledge and thank the extraordinary Innocence Project staff and board. They are brilliant, dedicated, and fearless. They stand ready to shake the very foundations of the criminal legal system to free and exonerate more people and to implement the structural changes necessary to achieve justice. We close tonight's event with photos of the hundreds of people exonerated or freed since the start of the Innocence Project. Thank you for making freedom and justice possible for them. Good night.